All right, welcome everybody to the comic panel. I'm Cody.
I'm Taylon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shawenta.
And today we are going to be covering Divinity issues 1 through 4, written by Matt Kindt, penciled by Trevor Hairsine, inked by Ryan Wynn, colored by David Barron, lettered by Dave Lanfear, and cover art by Jelena Kevik Djurjevic. There we go. Divinity. Let's see here. That was your pick, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So do you want to kind of give us a little bit about it and why you picked it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, using on Hoopla.
Mm-hmm. Which Hoopla is online service for libraries to, basically use your library card and get or rent out digital material.
Mm-hmm. Yep. When we were reading To Your Eternity, I was looking to see if I could find it on Hoopla. And so I just typed in Eternity. Or no, I said To Your Eternity. But then a book called Eternity came up. And so I was like, oh, that looks cool. And then when I was going to pick this book, which is Divinity, I went on Comixology and looked up Divinity there. And then I was trying to decide between those two. And it turns out they were the same book. So for some reason, different names. I don't understand.
Interesting. Like they were like the exact same book, or they weren't even like different like volumes or something.
No, it could have been a different language, but I'm not certain.
Yeah, I know that Jake initially only found the French version when he was searching for it.
Yes, which appears to be because the French version was on sale, and so it popped at the top.
Yeah, I've had a similar problem on specifically the Google Play Store before, where it was like, I think I tried to buy Tech Jacket, and like no matter how I searched it, only foreign language versions, until like finally I was like the exact like the wording and then buy and then the author, I think, and then I got the English language version to show up.
There you go. And I will say, like, the Eternity had a different cover than Divinity. So that's why there was a little confusion there.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so Divinity, what is it about?
So it is about this guy who grew up in during the Soviet Union, and they shipped him off to space to try and beat America. And their idea was send him to the farthest point as he can go, and then come back to Earth. And the projected goal was 30 years. And so that ends up not happening within that time frame. It ends up being more like 50 years. And so when he comes back to Earth, he has been imbued with some kind of energy.
Yeah, celestial, godly power.
He calls it the unknown. So that's it. And so when he comes back to Earth, he basically does nothing but give people their desires, like everything that they need. And
Kill that guy.
I know. No, he saved him.
Okay, but would he have fallen if the cosmonaut wasn't there?
I was thinking he would have.
It seemed like he climbs like that a lot, and nothing's happened yet until I don't know. Are we calling him Divinity? What's his?
Yeah.
Sure.
He has a name, but that's not who he is anymore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Until like Divinity is there, and then he falls, and then Divinity gets to be like, but I saved your life, and now you'll follow me. So did Divinity kill that guy?
I don't think so. I'm gonna stake my claim on that one.
I mean, the thing, right? He can manipulate their perception at times. So that dude could be like bleeding out on the ground and just think he's living a full life.
True.
I mean, because he shows up at the end. He's the guy who's like attacking, who's leading the attack on like Ninjak and X-O Manowar and all those guys, which I did not get until I read it on Wikipedia.
Yeah, X-O Manowar is actually the name of the team, not a guy. Right?
No, X-O Manowar's a guy.
It's a guy?
No, Unity is the name of the team.
Oh, I thought it was the... Okay. I didn't read the Wikipedia page, so...
Yeah, it had the little clip for all of them. They each had their name at the beginning.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Wow. Man, that must be a big... Okay, anyway, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Sounds like you guys really know these characters.
Not a bit.
I sure don't.
Well, for once, I think we're all on the same page, except for Jake, who read the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, that's the only reason I know anything about this stuff.
Yeah. And so MI6, their Gen GR division, whatever that is, sends the group known as Unity to retrieve Divinity. And that's where this volume ends.
Yeah, it's
When they accomplish it,
Yeah.
containing him. But they're like, what do we do with him now? He's a ticking time bomb.
yeah.
I guess. Like,
Again,
I mean, yeah, it seems like he just
Didn't
wants
do
to be with
anything.
like his wife and daughter, but they, died 40 years ago. Spoiler, I guess.
Yeah.
like it's interesting that he's like, oh, I'm all alone. It's like they didn't have any descendants, anybody.
No, it sounded like, basically died kind of young, like both the mother and the daughter. Like,
They do show the daughter getting older.
yeah.
I don't know. She was just forever not widow. Forever alone, single.
Yeah.
Old maid. There you go.
That still doesn't seem nice, but
Like you're an old maid if you die at like 24, even in the Soviet Union.
No, the daughter. Wait. Oh, wait. How old do we see the daughter get?
I mean, she gets like super old, like
Yeah.
60s. It's not super
So that's
old.
what I was talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I think we
Thing,
made
right?
the point.
Is it even real? Because then he brings her back as like a kid
Yeah.
and she's talking to him.
Kind of like a skeleton kid,
Well,
though.
also, right after, it's like right when he starts talking to, or right when he brings back his wife and daughter, and they're all like, "Why are we here, Abram?" Abram is his name. They have this line, Livewire says like, the images of his wife and daughter like are working, like keeping him distracted. And
right.
so, wait, okay, now I forgot why I brought that up.
But
Yeah, basically, we see the wife and daughter, but it's implied that it's an illusion created by somebody on Team Unity. Not exactly sure all of their powers anymore. And Jake's giving me the, like, I don't know either.
Like the only characters I like even recognize from this by name is like X-O Manowar and Ninjak, and that's it.
Ooh, you got more than me. I only recognize X-O Manowar, and as evidenced by the beginning of this, I didn't realize that was a person. So, yeah, more than me. But anyway, apparently they were like psychically projecting his wife and daughter in some way, but also they were able, or Divinity was able to at least connect with his actual daughter's spirit or whatever you want to call it, you know. Because like, go ahead.
They call it specifically digital recordings of his daughter and wife.
Yeah.
So digital. That's the part.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was saying psychic. I just didn't pick up on it.
Holograms.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just like, they're just doing a giant projection on the wall. And he's like, oh my God.
Which, man, yeah, you think about it, like, you know, this guy can, like, ostensibly, like, control light and atoms and stuff, like, you know, just total control over the universe. You'd think he'd be all like, hey, is this real? Can I move my wife and daughter's pieces? Nah, those are photons. Huh. That's wrong.
Well, I mean, I imagine, you know, you're so starstruck, you don't even question, you don't even have the brain capacity to question it at that moment.
I guess. I don't know. It seems
Well, for that to be the case, he makes a real big deal about like not being Abram anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, a little bit wishy-washy in the end about how that works, in my opinion. But, and also, I guess part of the summary that's, like, important is, he has a wife who, like, right before he has to leave on this mission, she gets pregnant. Yep. And he's not supposed to have any family. That's the reason that they sent him on the mission, was because he won't be able to see his family ever again. So it was important that he didn't have one, but he fell in love anyway.
And it's implied that they just didn't know that. Like, he already was in love. They just didn't know.
Yeah, that is true. Basically, he was in love, and he still accepted the mission, because they kind of gave him the option. He didn't necessarily have to, but he believed in the rightness of it, and like kind of always wanted to go to space and stuff like that.
Yeah. And as the narration says, he wanted to experience everything.
And also
it's the Soviet Union, right?
Yeah.
So like, do you have a choice?
It's his duty.
Then they start asking questions like, why would this guy say no?
Yeah, true.
Maybe he's not a true party member.
Right.
I wasn't go that far, but yeah, that could.
I think they would go that far.
Yes, I think they would, yes.
Okay, but they're so bad at spying. Like, how do they not know he just goes in his house and there's a woman there?
Yeah, secret wife. How are you getting away with secret wife?
Well, I'm not sure that they were like against him engaging in a relationship. That was the whole point. They just didn't know. So I guess like, you know, they probably,
No, they specifically said relationships are forbidden.
I guess, but
Yeah, because they won't know if they'll even be able to get back.
right.
Which seems kind of dumb. It's like, we're the first person to get somebody in space who will definitely die out there. Like, is that a win?
Well,
I'm not sure in the space race that's like a victory.
Well, they also choose to like keep it a secret. They're like, we're gonna reveal this at the perfect time if the United States like does anything cool.
Or if you
and
survive.
then they just get shut down out of funding, so they don't even tell anybody.
Yeah.
Well, the idea is that he would come back just 30 years later, and then they can say, all right, this is what we did.
I mean, to be honest, that's like not too bad, right? 15 years there, 15 years back then? That's,
Yeah.
as far as space, like, that's all it takes.
You know, I feel like the Soviet Union should have been present enough to be like, wait, we could just lie and say we sent this guy out there.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Just have nobody see him for 15 years. It's possible.
It's all space, you guys. I mean, you lock a guy in a room for 30 years. He's going to come out different.
I mean, and nobody else is going to send somebody out in
what
space for 30 years.
I
They
mean,
won't
what
know.
if that room was in space? Would that change things? Just as crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, they, like, it's so minimal, but the moment where they reveal, like, he has companions up there with him.
Oh, yeah, his other two buddies who I also don't think ever make it back.
No.
Yeah.
They don't. He literally says, I didn't leave them. They left me because they kept going outside of the rocket ship.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like they got consumed by the unknown.
Well, no,
They just like melted into it.
yeah, something like that, I guess. Yeah, I was a little confused by that part, I guess. But now that you're saying that, yeah, that's what happened.
But yeah, so he kept saying like, "Oh, I hope you can hear us. I'm talking to the both of you," or something like that. And I was definitely confused. I was like, I first thought he was talking to like, I don't know, Space Command or whatever, like whatever
Yeah.
down on Earth, you know. And then
I never realized it was supposed to be he's talking to his friends on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that either. I thought exactly what you thought initially. You know, he was just talking to the control center in the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And like basically it was cut off because, you know, the funding was cut off. So
Oh man, and then they had this thing of like, these not space clouds but space loops
space loops.
that captured transmissions from Earth.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that's how that works. I'm not a scientist, but I don't think that's how that works.
I was just like, that seems awfully convenient.
Yeah.
Especially if it's only like the major historical events and not like I Love Lucy or something.
Well, also, like, isn't it the major historical events of the United States?
Yeah.
He gets to see Martin Luther King Jr.,
Hey man.
which, like, is Russian.
Hey man, you know, we're the center of the universe. I mean,
Yeah, but he's not gonna hear about the fall of the Berlin Wall. Like,
He
Well,
did
he
see
did,
that. That was
yeah.
towards the
oh,
end.
did he?
Yeah.
that was like
Yeah.
the second.
Because they have the little hands on the wall or something.
That's when he was coming back
Yeah.
to Earth.
They're like, tear down this wall.
Did he hear that guy call himself a jelly donut?
Wasn't that just JFK?
Maybe.
I think that
No.
was. What? Who was that?
Are you talking
Just
about
one of the old
sandwich?
guys.
No.
It was a president. He went over to Germany when it was still East-West, specifically Berlin. He said "Ich bin ein Berliner," which is supposed to be "we are all Berliners," but in German, Berliner is German for jelly donut.
I glossed over that bit of history.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Just throw that into conversation every once in a while.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Even when it's not called for?
Especially.
Did you know? Yeah. Yeah, probably didn't see that on TV though. It's TV. Like, let's be honest. Like,
All right. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, as far as like, I don't know. Yeah, definitely, it didn't make it seem like he had any choice about what transmissions he received or whatever. So it is kind of weird that he saw like Martin Luther King Jr., but he was definitely following the civil rights movement in the United States before he left. So it's kind of like, yeah, definitely like convenient.
Catching up on your favorite TV show.
Yeah. But at least like relevant, I guess.
Yeah.
Suspiciously relevant.
So, yeah.
Okay, to be fair, he also did just like rebuild his spaceship using his mind. So maybe he's just attracting the specific things he's interested in.
Well, I mean, but he even had transmissions before that.
Yeah, but maybe Divinity sent those transmissions back in time.
Because he claims that Divinity chose him, right? So
Yeah.
all it took was taking off your space helmet in space. Just do it, kids.
Yeah.
Wait, what? No.
Try this at home. Also, yeah.
That is bad advice. To be fair.
Also seemed like a Solaris reference. Don't know if you guys have seen that movie at all. It's like basically the USSR's 2001: A Space Odyssey. Has a bunch of people go out into space, and I don't know if it's like they go to the farthest reaches like this one, but basically they come into contact with something that like vaguely looks like pretty much like what Mercury looks like, like big and hot and energy, kind of like either Mercury or the sun. But yeah, they're all like, wow, this is so weird. And then they start kind of going mad with like, it might be because of the energy, it might be because of existential horror. It's hard to tell. And yeah, I don't think anybody makes it out.
Huh.
Yeah. But it's
I'll take your word for it.
yeah,
Never seen it.
It's like personally I didn't find it super interesting, but it's one of those like important science fiction films. So
Was it made during like the existence of the Soviet Union?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
Surprised they don't like defeat it with the power of communism.
Yeah.
wait. The setting of the movie is Soviet Union.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah, created by people in the Soviet Union, set in the Soviet Union, and yeah, and I think it was in English. I don't know. Anyway, I can't remember. It was too long ago.
It's not in English.
It's not in English.
Subtitled.
Okay, it was subtitled. Yeah. Anyway, though.
Okay,
so,
we can't all be Google this movie. On our
Unrelated movie.
show.
Slightly related, actually.
slightly related. I think that it's yeah. And would you agree, Shwanta? You know about it as well. Do you think it was a Solaris reference?
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, that movie's famous.
Yeah. That's the new version, Talon. You gotta get.
Okay, that good because that's the one that I thought of when you said Solaris.
Anyway.
So this one is 1976. Okay.
Yes. I mean, yeah.
Anyway.
Oh,
I mean,
that
we've
makes
kind of
sense.
summarized it all, right? Like,
Right. Yeah. I think
there's
so.
little bits here and there. A lot of the superhero stuff, it really does, like, it does a lot of jumping around. Where it's like, in the past, and then suddenly it's here. This is what he's doing now as Divinity. This is, at the beginning it shows kind of how he got there. But then also, just, it moves around so much.
Yeah, this is something we've beat around the bush a little bit, but this is a story that takes place in the Valiant Comics superhero universe.
Right.
Which
Which
I
is-
did not know.
C tier at best.
Yeah. I mean, it's persisted. I have to say, it's persisted.
It's been around, to be fair.
Yeah. And
But-
and you don't stick around if you don't have sales. So there's fans. There's people.
You sure? Not just like a side hobby. Let's make a few of these.
I mean,
I mean-
their comics selection on their website is rather short.
Okay. So maybe they just keep their budget down by having a few titles.
In the mid to late 2000s, they actually won several Eisner Awards for various superhero comics. So I mean, they were successful. This is not one of those books, but they were successful.
We should read some of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to read about Bloodshot or Shadow Man
Bloodshot,
Or-
yes.
Awesome.
or Ninjak or X-O
Ninjak?
Manowar?
The moment Ninjak like came on screen and was like, "Blimey!" I was like, "No, what is this?"
I mean, they're from London. They're MI6. Come on.
Oh yeah, that's where I almost dropped this book. Was when I saw MI6 secret headquarters was a big man. Like I was about to like stop reading.
Before the show yesterday, I think I had a dream that I came on here to do the show about this book, and you guys were all like, "Yeah, we know these characters. Like, what are you talking about? These are super famous characters. You're crazy." So I'm glad that was just a nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's actually a really funny dream to me. Like I can just
ashamed for not knowing about Livewire.
Now, see, I know Livewire as like a Superman / Supergirl supervillain. So, and they're pretty much the same.
So that's where I've heard the name Talon talking about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've talked about it before,
I'm
but
sure you have. I'm like 90% sure you said Livewire.
I mean, if
Yeah,
it's
okay,
in
yeah.
Smallville, right?
Yeah.
Then it's probably come up.
I don't. It was in Supergirl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not Smallville. Anyway,
Yeah.
I agree though that we've pretty much summarized it. If we want to talk about our positives for this book, I can start.
Please do.
Okay. So this is the part where I wasn't as cold as it seems like everybody else was on this book actually. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool. I liked, that I didn't necessarily there were twists in the narrative, as we've like kind of talked about in the summary. And generally, it was an interesting kind of problem where there's like this superhero, universe, and then this like benevolent, godlike being. Not completely benevolent. I guess technically the word benevolent probably means like all good, but and I wouldn't say that Divinity is necessarily all good because he still has like, human will and such. But generally wants to give people what they want. And also kind of like begs the question, is what's right giving people what they want, or is it like what they need, or, et cetera. Was it really best?
Not just like giving them more money,
Yeah.
or like it's turning them into a bunch of butterflies, or a weird bird man.
Yeah. Is that really better than, what they need?
Or like saving them from a fall that I personally think Divinity caused.
Okay. Also, just a quick aside there. I don't really understand. Like, I missed that part apparently because like you guys all know what you're talking about. I'm like, and I know what character you're talking about, but I missed it. I missed the crucial bit.
So
You mean
it's
the
like
part where
when he's
he
first
is
introduced.
climbing the wall
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then sees Divinity, is like, oh my god, and then falls backwards and like smashes his head on the cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Yeah,
I
like
missed
that
that.
sequence of
okay.
events doesn't happen if Divinity isn't there.
Right. Okay, and I think that I'm lightly remembering that, but I just like, I didn't see how it connected, so I just like ejected it. There's another.
Okay.
That was
Jake,
like one of the most brutal parts of the book, I feel like.
yeah.
Dude, that dude was dead, in my opinion.
Yeah. I will amend my earlier statement, Jake. I can believe that he caused it, but not intentionally.
Yeah, he wasn't waiting there to spring up.
Because
Yes,
to me,
he was just standing there, but also like I could have caught him or not been there so he doesn't fall. Because
That's
like
like he can like manipulate with his mind, right? So can he
Yeah.
just like help the dude? He's just like,
well, he did. He brought him back.
yeah, but you don't let him fall. Don't bother resurrect. Okay, if I'm
I'll
doing
buy you
mountain
an
climbing,
ice cream, but
And
it's okay.
if I meet a demigod who can control space and time at the top of my climb, and seeing him causes me to fall, I don't want to get reanimated. I'd rather he just catch me so I don't need reanimated.
Gotcha. What if what you needed? I can't even finish that statement.
And
I don't care if that's what I needed. I don't want to fall.
and also it's
What I need to do is not fall.
plus he's granting what people want, which
Well, so they're phrasing it as this is what they need.
is that how they phrase it? I
Yeah.
thought it was specifically what they want.
No, it's like
About like
the-
deep
they
down
can-
desires.
Yeah. Because it's like he could reach down into like our souls or whatever, and like see what we needed. Is what I thought he was saying.
That is not my read on it. Especially like even if that's what they say, it definitely, in my opinion, what you need is outside of what you necessarily know. Like, you can know what you need, but you don't necessarily know all the time. And so to only have what's in you, that's more akin to what you want.
But I will say, like, I interpret it as like him being, because like I think as a person you can look at somebody else and be like, this person needs this, right?
Right.
And that person not necessarily know what it is that, like, doesn't see it that way.
Yeah.
You know? And so to me, that's how I interpreted it, is like him being able to see, oh, I see all of this as you.
Okay, so that kind of gives Divinity more of a nefarious angle in that reading, to me at least, because it's like, if he is being the, like, you know, in quotes, all-knowing, you know, interpreter of what people need, you know, then that is, you know, more tyrannical. You know, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's
What
like
if you're selfish and you need a slap?
maybe.
Well, then you'd get
It's just like
hopefully you get slapped.
the problem I have with that though is like they talk about, you know, reach through the person's soul, see their desires. Like one person becomes a Birdman, and that's like, okay, maybe he wanted to be free as a bird, free bird.
Yeah.
The other guy just wants to be a bunch of butterflies. Odd, but okay.
Well, so
But then that third guy just wants to see his pregnant wife. And so you just teleport the pregnant wife to him. His life doesn't change.
Yeah, and he gets to be on this cool, like, Eden little tiny planet.
Yeah, it's like nothing's changed in his life except for the proximity to his wife. Like there's there's no life-changing event to that.
Well, so I guess I'm confused. Why is that a problem?
Because the other two had like weird, like probably ideas that they could never fully form, like from their subconscious, made true. Yeah. And the other guy was just like, man, I miss my wife.
Yeah.
I wish I could see my wife.
Jake, didn't you know that 2/3 of all people are just weirdos? That
Okay, what part of this panel wants to be a bunch of sentient butterflies, and which wants to be a Birdman? Who's taking that bullet on this podcast?
Not being a bird, those are gross.
Yeah.
Or who just wants to look at a picture of their loved one and have the same effect?
Hey, I personally am like I never have to go to work again and be with my family and like just never work. That's
I don't think my family accept me as butterflies.
That's a bummer.
I feel like
You have a
there'd be
toxic family.
like as much hassle as it is like maintaining like a human body. I feel like maintaining like thousands of butterfly like bodies would be more hassle.
Well, yeah, because your
Everyone
brain
die in like a year.
your brain is all scattered between like a million. You know?
But yeah, like is there one brain butterfly? Is it like a collective consciousness?
it's gotta
It's
be
like
collective.
neurons. Like neurons, butterflies.
Yeah.
I got it.
I mean, yeah, there's lots of like, I mean, that's there's like hive mind theory that like, you know, a beehive is more intelligent than the individual bee, and same with like single-celled organisms like slime mold that interact together.
Yeah.
So it's a thing.
Not butterflies.
Maybe.
Okay, so I will add about the butterflies. In the back of the book where they're going through like how they developed the comic, specifically in the art, there was a discussion about the choice to make the guy like turn into butterflies, and they were talking about he wanted peace. And so he turned into a bunch of butterflies.
Like internal peace, like with himself.
I'm guessing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're saying.
Okay. And that was in the process art section, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That implies that there's, I mean, okay, do you think that implies that in general, the only way to find true peace is through basically annihilation of self, or that that's what Divinity believes?
Well, he did make him a collective.
Bringing back in the communism.
He could have just like eliminated all ego from that person or like sense of self, and he would have technically been at peace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the one guy who gets his wife and daughter is like, he saw what we wanted, what we really needed. So he says both.
No wonder.
But that's just the dude's interpretation, right?
Yeah.
The dude who made out scot-free.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess when you get like exactly what you want, it's pretty easy to be like, yeah, that butterfly guy, that's what he wanted. I'm sure that's, I think actually one night when we were drinking together, he said that he wanted to be a bunch of butterflies. I remember that now.
Yep.
No pain in your back if you're a bunch of butterflies.
It's true.
You might get pain in your wings, but
My dog would eat me in like 5 seconds if I was butterflies.
Now
Then
a
you
bunch
really
of
don't
Not a
have
safe
butterflies, though,
existence.
if there was a swarm of butterflies, can't get all of us at once.
Anyway.
Anyway, there was a part of this I liked, even though it was not intended at all. It was like, all right, the page where they actually introduced the heroes, where it's like Ninjak, X-O Manowar, like that's the part where I finally like understood what the book was. Because like I was about to like drop this book like a bad habit, because like none of it was making sense. Like they talked like it was an established universe.
You're right.
And like I saw the MI6 headquarters in the big man, and I was like, man, that's a step too far. Like I was gonna let you go with like the secret Soviet space program. That was gonna be fine. That's just sci-fi. It happens.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then I saw the big dude. I'm like, no, shut up. That's dumb. Shut up. That's not. How's that better than like a building?
Yeah.
And then I saw like Ninjak and X-O Manowar. We're like, oh, because it's a superhero. Okay. Now I get it. All right.
Interesting. That's
Wait, you didn't know it was a superhero comic? It literally
No.
says best superhero comic of 2015.
Who looks at the covers? Especially to a collected volume. There are covers on the inside that I can look at.
See, I have the best way of reading it, where I don't read that text, where I don't find out that's the elite technical team's headquarters.
Oh, gotcha.
I was just like, wow, giant robot man. Okay, this is weird.
Shuenta just says, caption boxes, what are those? I only read dialogue sometimes in the art.
Truly.
And forget it if it's in cursive.
It's a good test of whether the art is telling you things, right?
Yeah, it's true.
It's so bizarre. Like there's the monkey men in the jungle of his Eden. Do you remember that one panel where there's the creepy monkey men?
Yep.
No.
They were like in the shade with the bright eyes.
Yeah. Okay, I remember them now.
Beginning of a horror movie.
Yeah, I definitely read the superhero tagline on the front cover. I also just like kind of assumed, I was like, I know that Valiant has a universe. This is probably in it. This is probably not like a standalone thing. I definitely well, go ahead.
The moment like they had the whole we're prepping him for a spacewalk, I was like, okay, it's a superhero thing.
Yeah.
It's not like Captain America, but I guess it is.
Yeah, I mean,
it's prepping people for secret projects, superheroes.
You're totally right, because like that Captain America also came to my mind when they were all like, we gave him like special vitamins, which obviously like there's only the vitamins that we have now. Like there's no like secret vitamins, but that's exactly what they said.
There's no like shadow B12. Like, what do you mean?
But that's what they did. Like they gave Captain America like a bunch of like special vitamins, and then like beta rays or something.
Oh yes, Veta rays.
Yeah, or Veta rays. Was it beta or Veta?
Beta.
Yeah. So yeah, that was basically very reminiscent of Captain America's like at least Golden Age origin.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'd say like I don't have anything specific that I can say that. I mean, I guess like the story was all right, but like I don't have. All I can say is like I didn't finish it and was like, I hate this book. I hate it. You know? So
yeah,
I can say that.
Yeah, basically it just like kind of like it was a comfortable narrative, basically. Yeah.
I will say
Simple
like,
narrative once you got past like what? How many pages? Like 50 pages or something?
yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that further discussion in the narrative would go into the things I don't like.
I was gonna say, is your only positive that you didn't hate it? It's
Yes.
not like a great bar.
Yes. And I will say
Similar
like
to,
the things I don't like about this book are also not really like I hate this, you know.
Right.
They're just like you could have done that better.
Yeah, it like a little bit more nitpicking, you know, or
Not nitpick, like not criticism, critiquing.
critiquing.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I guess what I'd say is that I feel like there's a better word because I don't disagree. Basically, you know, what we're kind of like hinting at, which we'll get more into in the dislikes, is that like it's kind of front loaded with exposition, right? But I felt like as far as readability, it was well paced. Like I wasn't bored reading it and like, come on, get to the, you know, the next part. But that doesn't mean in total it was paced well. It was just that aspect of pacing where it was like, it didn't feel bloated with like too much dialogue or detail. And also, I think this is like, to me, an interesting kind of way to do like almost like an event, like a superhero event comic, where it's like, this is just a new series and it stars the people that are normally in this universe, you know? Like, imagine if this was like, I don't know, Thanos. Like, I mean, that's kind of how the MCU movies did, like Infinity War. Whereas, like, this is more like kind of like a Thanos movie starring the Avengers.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing this setup as. It's just that, like, basically it took too long, you know. It could have gotten a little bit there faster. But anyway, that is a dislike. But, yeah, that's kind of how I view this, basically, is that Divinity is being set up as a threat. You know, he's already viewed as a threat from the people of Earth. And I think that's at least interesting. It's an interesting idea to go that way.
Gotcha.
I was going to say that I agree with you, Cody, but the things I liked was like some of the concepts there were interesting. Like, you know, sending out space guy to space and then he finds something unknowable and it takes him over and he's no longer himself. Like, in theory, a lot of that's really interesting to me. I just don't super, you know, like how it ended up because, I mean, I guess it just feels a little unfinished. Like, so much of the time is spent trying to say that he is no longer himself. But then the moment you like show him his daughter and his wife, he just like breaks down. So he's still himself to me. So it kind of loses that part of, you know, the crazy, interesting problem of coming back and not being yourself. I didn't come back, you know, just my body did. And then, so yeah, a knowable space creature. Awesome.
Yeah.
Also, like you were saying, Cody, the part about like the goals, you know, I like how the superheroes, you know, as they're approaching him, are discussing the fact that why are we doing this? He's not really hurting anybody.
Again,
Also, like are we coming into the situation to make it better?
Right. Yeah. I I think that there's at least that. Like, maybe he is like, it's kind of like approaching the Hulk in a way, right? Like, is this just going to cause more damage and destruction by like, by,
Engaging him.
yeah.
Oh, I gotcha.
Like, he may
I mean,
not
yeah, that's-
be totally benevolent, but
That's the thing, right? Like, you're probably right that like he's more of enforcing his will on them of what they need or what they want, and it eventually would not be maybe a fulfilling experience. I don't know. Like that feels like something it should have explored.
yeah.
Because for the most part, it seems to portray it very much as everybody's pretty happy, and to the point where they're willing to become a cult to protect him.
Yeah. The bird dude seems like a little bit angry still. He seems like we get one panel.
Well, we don't get a monologue from him.
Yeah, we don't. We don't. You're right. I'm just saying that that's a potential, but I agree. I agree that they should have explored that more.
So yeah, it seems like a lot of different things there. Like, and also, this, obviously a lot of this stuff sort of goes into dislike too. Like the fact that the superhero team, when they showed up, suddenly I was like, wait, this feels like it's their story, and we're just getting a little bit of backstory of the villain they got to face off against. But then they just kind of sort of overcome it. He's like, you got to do your breathing techniques, guys. Center yourself, and you'll get out of this time trap. Where like at the very beginning of that scene, they have them like Ninjak seeing like his mother and like being hit all of a sudden. And I was like, oh, it's going to be kind of, I guess, more engaging with each character where like these are the things that they're weak to and like how do they overcome this illusion. But they just sort of don't.
Yeah.
They don't have that again.
Yeah, and
so
also
there's a lot of little promises there that were potentially interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that. And well, I guess I'll save that a little bit for the dislikes, which we haven't transitioned into yet. But yeah, I agree. There was some really cool ideas that were put out there. Okay. I mean, maybe is everybody ready to transition?
I think we can.
There's one more thing, but
Okay.
it really is just that, like, all right, we solved the problem. What do we do where we put Divinity? Oh, man, I don't know. Underground? Yeah, underground. Stick him in there.
We didn't see the awesome scene where their little building digs up underground.
But yeah, that's it. It's just like, it's kind of like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where it's like, okay, this is too dangerous to stay on Earth. What do we do? Shoot it into the sun.
Yeah,
Get rid of it.
Honestly, lots of superhero shows, surprisingly, like The Flash, just put him in a jail that's not overseen by any government institution.
Don't worry about it. What's that? I mean, like, I appreciate that where the solution is like something dumb but effective.
Yeah. I get that. Although I do feel like putting Divinity underground is kind of like putting Magneto underground. Like,
Oh yeah, he can get out there whenever he wanted. It's mostly to stop other people from getting to him.
yeah, fair.
Unless they had like a bunch of shovels, I guess.
Interesting, right? Because I guess people sort of sought out Divinity. Divinity didn't go to people. You see people like trekking like pilgrimage style to like see him.
Yeah, but the first people are, I think that what we're supposed to understand, I will admit that I was a little confused, is that they are military members of the Australian military, because that's where he lands, is Australia. And basically they just like have guns and they're all like, okay, what just came down from space? We're in a superhero movie, so we've probably interacted with aliens before and they've been dangerous.
They like point their guns at him. They're not just like hanging out there and he comes down, right? Like,
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
they sought him out.
They sought
still.
him out. Yeah, I mean, they did. I'm just saying that basically that, like, they didn't, it wasn't like basically people just came upon him or anything. Like, they sought him out to be aggressive at first, and then word kind of spread about what was happening, it seemed like.
I guess the hiker didn't seek him out.
Yeah.
The rock
Once
climber
again,
guy.
why I'm saying Divinity murdered that man.
Okay, to be fair,
Okay,
I
maybe
did
murder is the wrong word.
Yeah,
Definitely
it's
so.
manslaughter.
I looked back at that sequence, and they do show the guy kind of having trouble at the top.
Yep.
He's like, ugh, and he just barely grabs on to the, top one. And Divinity holds out his hand and says, here, and the guy's like, oh, and then falls backwards.
Yeah, okay, I remember that scene totally now. Like, I kind of, like, as you were describing it the last time, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember him dying, but now I remember it in total. Yeah, and that's true. Yeah, Divinity tried to save him. He just was not able to.
Didn't try hard enough.
Yeah.
Rebuilt his spaceship using his mind.
I mean, I will say, like, I feel like in that situation, Divinity kind of wouldn't have thought of, maybe I can, like, put, like, make a construct that he can land on. Like,
I don't think he cares.
no?
I mean, I think that's the point. Is supposed to be that he's like space guy. Don't care too much about earthly stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, because he doesn't come to Earth to be a superhero. That's kind of what it seemed like the book was setting up initially, especially without having the Unity team like appearing until later. You know, it was like, oh, okay, this is just a new superhero origin. Divinity is going to be a superhero. And then it was like, oh, this is different.
I don't know. He still could be a superhero.
It's possible. It's definitely possible, but not at this present moment.
Yeah.
And that's
There's not a single panel of that man gasping as that other guy just like falls down a steep cliff.
yeah.
Divinity does not.
I mean, yeah.
Don't even know if he looked over. He's just like.
It could be absolutely possible that he's outside of time. You know, he like considering that he can affect people's perception of time. He could just totally just see events in front of him. Kind of Dr. Manhattan style, I guess.
A little bit where he's like he saw the past, he saw the current, and then like he saw the future. Like he was getting glimpses of the future or something.
Yeah. Did that happen? Did he see glimpses of the future?
I think it's like said text wise, but it's
Okay.
never like brought up really.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess dislikes then.
Yeah. So,
Don't like that the set. Sorry, go ahead, Talon.
no, you go.
All right. Don't like that the
I
central
lied.
conflict is solved by Ninjak just like going around and saying, just do deep breathing, figure out what time period you're actually in.
Gotcha. No, it's feel your senses.
Yeah.
What's right? What's true?
That
It's a very limp way to defeat like this like kind of Dr. Manhattan, like you said.
Yeah, I think they definitely could have focused on the difficulty of it because, like, I think that that's what they were intending was that this training to, like, breathe and, like, move past what your body is telling you is your reality to your, like, true reality. That's, like, a really difficult task, you know, to, like...
Yeah, well, yeah, Ninjak says it took him a while.
Yeah.
And I believe it when he says that. But then, like, even if it takes the same amount of time for him to teach all of the team members, that's not really reflected in the book.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It is not reflected. It just kind of seems like it comes easy to them because, like, they don't spend a lot of time with it. Also, as far as, like, I don't know, like, yeah, trying to get out of the their time loops or whatever. Like, they say that they spend, like, between, like, 6 months and a year. Or is anybody in there for years? Multiple?
Pretty sure Ninjak was.
Okay, yeah, like, that should have a bigger psychological effect present immediately to me. Like, and that's happened in superhero comics before where I'm like, yeah, you're not just bouncing back from that, dude. But like, I don't know. There's more of a realism to this that like I feel like they're trying to do. Like, I mean, obviously it's not totally realistic. See giant robot fortress and everything else, but like, I don't know. The vibe was a little bit more. These characters aren't just like, I don't know, Marvel and DC characters where they're certain things just bounce off their back.
I mean, like the other part of that is like after they like escape, it's just kind of solved. Like it's padded out with like more backstory and getting to meet Abram's family, but it's just like, okay, we're out. Livewire, put up a prison cell, and then the prison cell is up, and then they take the prison cell away, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like there's no like second attack.
Yeah, it is, and I don't know, like, so this was like only 4 issues. Do you feel like that is like part of it? Like maybe we're like missing a part of the story, kind of?
Maybe? I don't know. Because it doesn't feel like it's missing anything in the book. It just feels like it doesn't feel like it's missing anything, but it feels like it's not all there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking like, a lot of American comic book stories are like 6-issue arcs, and I could see, 2 issues of like kind of exposition, 2 issues of like climax and or nearing the climax, and then like the next 2 issues being a little bit more for resolution, which like, yeah, we don't get to say whether that happens or not. Like, I mean, I'm sure there are, more issues to the series, but it's we are just judging this on what we read, which is the first volume collected. But still, I'm curious if it would have been better with, another 2 issues, basically.
Maybe. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a lot of room in the script for elaboration.
It's
I
fair.
just can't feel which direction it would have gone in, because they seem to have like started a bunch of seeds for things that would have been interesting to go for, but then not committed to any of them.
Maybe more elaboration with the followers. Because, like, obviously he's not turning all of the people who come to him into birdmen and butterflies. You know what I mean? It seems like it is more heavily in the direction of, you get to see your wife again. Or, I saved you from the death I might have caused. So, that would have probably been interesting. Like, why are people going to him? That could have been interesting. And also would have given, because like how it's given to us right now, like the argument that Divinity isn't doing anything wrong doesn't really hold up. Because like, unless you're going there specifically for him. But even then, it's like, it doesn't seem to hold a lot of water. Because it seems like he could choose to be no longer benign at any time. And nobody'd know, because nobody's talking to him unless they've already had their life changed by him.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely like reason to be, I don't know, fearful of him.
I mean, you can't talk to him normally. Like,
Yeah.
he's just going to change your life before you ask anything.
Right, yeah.
Unless, I guess, you're totally at peace. So, like, I don't know, some Tibetan monk, I guess.
Yeah, quick, get a Buddhist monk in here. That would have been awesome.
That would have been more interesting. That's true.
Why can't I give you what you want? How do I not know?
He doesn't want anything. He's moved past wanting anything.
I mean, the time trap wouldn't work on him. He's grounded.
Yeah, get Ninjak's teacher.
Okay, we have a new superhero already.
No, I think that the biggest problem for me was that it felt like two tonally different stories, where it's like the first one is more like sci-fi, like still superhero, but not superhero universe story. And it's like, you know, it's a lot of exposition, and it probably could have been okay with, like, you know, after those two exposition issues, two more issues where it's just, you know, Divinity figuring out life on Earth, you know, in his own mind. And it's like, you know, like how his mind has changed. Like, even if we see like ways that he used to think in the past and ways that he thinks now, and like kind of comparing those two, like, you know, I mean, it, again, I'll compare to Dr. Manhattan. You know, he is able to like think about the way that he used to view the world and how he views the world now. But taking it outside of Divinity's perspective, except for in limited instances, kind of leaves the reader basically unsure. It's like, well, before we were directly first person following Divinity. Now it kind of seems like we're following a lot of people. And so it doesn't really feel like we get a proper conclusion, I guess, to Divinity's story. Like, I mean, even with it, like, obviously being ongoing, it's like we don't get a good sense for how he feels about being back on Earth, and, you know, whether he can like it all feels like third person basically in the second half is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
I think that's like the majority of the series, though, has the kind of that problem where so much time, like you're saying, is spent to exposition, narration, and then characters telling us things, dialogue. There just never feels like there's any room for us to see what's actually happening and compare that to like the perception of characters' perception of what's happening.
Yeah.
So he's giving us what we need. Like, do we get a little bit of evidence that that's true? Do we get any evidence to the contrary? There's not enough time spent on it.
Yeah.
So like most of our information, yeah, it's kind of verbal.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say that for me that the exposition was too much, and I even noted this like on page 25. Like by the time we got there, like I was like, it's too much exposition, and to me it's like really obvious when it comes to Abram in how like how the narrator describes Abram in the beginning, and then in like issue 2 he describes him as like he wanted to feel everything, you know. Whereas in the beginning it seems much more like Abram is kind of like cold, like not having very much emotions.
Right. Yeah, I can kind of agree with that, like, you know, we kind of miss out on a lot of, like, he seems like a blank slate a little bit, and it's like, that would be okay if he was like a very, you know, big person character-wise before, and then he's been changed by like the Divinity experience and becomes like more cold and calculating. But the fact that he already seems really repressed in his human form, except for with his wife.
Right.
But like even then, we don't really get to see into his thoughts about like how much he cares. We're just told by him that he cares.
Yeah. And yeah, so a lot of that exposition, I'm just like, you really should be more like, okay, here's characters having a conversation, not telling us this is what's happening. Like that was the biggest thing that I was just like, this really wasn't effective. And then also with them talking about like, all right, here's the past, and then jumping back and forth to the future or the present, it was just kind of like, okay, where are we going? Now, for first read, it's very confusing, but I think on the second read, like, okay, you understand what's going on. Reading it again.
So as
in regards to like the jumping back and forth.
Yeah, as somebody that read it just once, I was actually pretty able to follow. I felt like I never got too confused. There was obviously parts where I just like kind of just like I say, you know, I just left it alone if I didn't understand. But for the most part, I felt like I got what was happening in the story.
Gotcha. Yeah, and from what I remember, one of my confusions with the story was also, why are we talking about David Camp? Because like it seems like they described him too in-depthly, or they focus on him too much, and it doesn't really seem like he's that major of a character.
Is that the hiker guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He comes back, apparently, in different Valiant comics.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Also, I mean, so I didn't realize that this, I knew this was Valiant, but I didn't realize they had their own universe that this was set in. So when the Unity members show up, like, I was definitely confused. It's like, we don't know anything about these guys. Why?
Oh, yeah, zero.
Yeah. So I'm just like, why are you telling us this? But, you know, it would be like having, I don't know, Spider-Man, Hulk, and all these other characters in a different comic. It's like, yeah, you kind of assume people know who they are.
All right, but the problem I have with that is, all right, another thing I don't like, comic tells us nothing about the heroes. And is it our fault for choosing a book that's like 5 years into their latest comic book run? Sure, maybe that's our fault. But hey, you know what? If you picked up a Batman or a Superman or Iron Man, like, those have been around for long enough that like you could have picked up some like knowledge by osmosis. Like Spider-Man, you know his Uncle Ben died. Batman, you know his parents got shot. Superman, you know, dead planet.
Really
you know some stuff going
in,
like
tragedy,
base level information about these characters.
Yeah.
There's been one movie for the Valiant characters.
Yeah.
And that was the Vin Diesel movie Bloodshot. Which, does anybody even remember that movie?
Yes.
No.
Of course, Talon. Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
What was that one movie where he was like an alien? Riddick. That was cool.
Didn't see it. But it's like, so I feel like there should be at least like, you know, at the beginning of a single issue, there's like a little spiel where it's like, even in a Spider-Man comic, it's like, high schooler Peter Parker was bitten by a radioactive spider, granting him the abilities of a spider. Yeah. Like, there should be at least a little bit like that.
No, and like, I mean, this is 2015, so take the 2015.
So Bloodshot wasn't even out.
Oh, okay.
So there's nothing.
Good to know. I didn't know that. But take the 2015 event series Secret Wars. You know, that had, at that point, Marvel was specifically putting characters that are involved in the story on the front, like not the front page, or the title page. So not the front cover, but the title page, and giving a little bit about who they are, because it's a big book with a lot of characters, and it's just like one sentence basically, you know, summarizing who they are. But it was really important because I wasn't following, Jonathan Hickman, stuff. So I was like, I don't know who the Black Order is, and it would also organize them by teams too.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's like, do that. But like also it's not as much work because it's not as big of a story.
Like, tell me what the deal is with X-O Manowar. Why is Ninjak British?
Well, there's a long...
Those other two.
There's a long, unfortunate history of British ninjas.
Why unfortunate? You don't need to answer that.
Yeah. But yeah,
it's a bad job introducing your characters other than Divinity. But the book's about Divinity, so I feel like that doesn't count.
Yeah, and I'd say, like, again, I would really have rather known more about Abram, like, got his side of the story, you know?
Yeah, he was an orphan and good at math. And in the Soviet Union.
That's
So
pretty
became
much,
a
yeah,
cosmonaut.
the side of his story.
That's not true. He has a wife. How did that happen?
Secret wife. Don't worry about it. It's a secret even to himself.
yeah. No, I agree.
How did I get here? Where did the days go? Yeah.
I agree with Talon though that like, basically just that I would have liked to see more of his actual personality. We just got the plot points, which is what we were saying we wanted for the side characters, but this is about Divinity. We should be able to see like what was his life before he became Divinity, especially if you're going to spend so much time talking about it, but I feel like we didn't actually get that much information, just the...
It did feel like how Jake described it, being fed keywords. Wife I'm gonna miss. She's pregnant.
Yeah, that
Oh,
makes...
yeah, that's right. I forgot. Yeah, Abram's like dirt. He's garbage. He didn't tell his secret wife about his like secret space plan.
No, he
to
just
leave
found
for
out.
30 years until the day before he was going to leave.
I thought
But then also the secret wife's kind of garbage because didn't tell Abram about the secret kid until the day he was going to leave. So
Okay.
nobody's good.
Okay, Jake, I'm pretty sure it went down. He found out and then went home, told her about it that same day, and it just happened to be the same time where she found out he was pregnant.
That's too much credit.
But he does say tomorrow. So did he find out and then immediately has to leave within a day?
That's what I assume. Oh, wait,
No,
you're
he
right.
trained for it.
You're
Yeah,
right.
he
You're right.
trained for it.
Gotcha.
And yeah,
That's fair.
I think, did she go into labor the day that he actually left?
See, that's confusing too, because in the beginning, she's like, yeah, I'm pregnant. She looks fine. And then in issue 2, like in the beginning, she's like 8 months
She's
along.
so pregnant.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
like, it's gonna be a girl. I just know it.
So yeah, I think there's definitely time in between. I don't think that he told her the day that, like maybe the day that she found out.
Well, no, so when he told her, that was the same day she said, I'm pregnant.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But like she did not look like she was along.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's time in between before he had to leave and saying that he had to
Okay,
leave.
literally the scene that he's remembering is literally her sitting there, like, on him being like, I'm pregnant. He's like, oh. And she's like, aren't you happy? He's like, I'm leaving tomorrow and I won't be back for years. And then, like you said, then we see that other scene where he's like laying there with her and she's like so clearly pregnant. She's like, it's gonna be a girl.
Okay, yeah, they really
Did that happen?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, I don't know how you would go 8 months without noticing some changes there.
Can only visit her so often because of the secretness.
That would be funny. He shows up, was like, whoa, you let yourself go.
The absolute worst. Not looking so hot today.
You Yikes.
I'm pregnant.
Oh, that explains a lot. You're not going to stay that way forever, right?
I guess not.
Oh, I took this too far.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
but that's
glad
what
this
I
is
mean.
snowballed.
But that really shows like how much it just flips around is so confusing.
Yeah. And I do, like, I mean, okay, so there's multiple things. First, I don't think this is a good thing if we are unsure. It shouldn't be ambiguous. But Shuenta, you may have had a point that perhaps Divinity was like kind of just creating memories, you know, that didn't actually happen. But yeah, not a good thing if we don't know that.
If he does that for himself, is he changing the past?
Could be. It's definitely possible. If he can see outside of time, it's why not? And he can still affect things in the present. It doesn't seem totally outside of the realm of possibility to affect the past.
Yeah, because the powers are like nonsense.
Yeah,
Like they
he can do
make
anything.
no sense. That's just like something that's just. I'm not even gonna say I don't like it because it's just like that's like an allotment I allow for a lot of like dumb space powers, like the power cosmic or like the Infinity Stones. Yeah, sure, whatever, do whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
I will say, like, my first, like, I'm not sure if I would agree with you that he can affect the past, but the reason that I'm going to pose is probably not the best reasoning. And that is that near the end of the fourth book, like, he's talking to his wife, and his wife says, we've moved on. Like, your daughter knows another man as her father, kind of thing. So to me, it's like, well, that didn't change. But then also at the same time, it's like, that doesn't necessarily, like, from what we see, he didn't necessarily change the past to where he was always present, you know?
Right. Yeah, but I mean, I'm not sure if he can necessarily. Oh, yeah, I guess that's a good point. Okay, no, I had to think about that for a second because at first I was like, I wonder if he can't change much about himself after he becomes Divinity. I don't know. Like, that might be like an anchor point of time, but I guess that doesn't really make sense if we're saying that he's still inserted. Yeah. I'm not, like, basically, what if he didn't insert an extra 8 months necessarily of time? Just that he, like, manipulated events where it's all like, oh, I had to do training, basically. I don't know. Yeah, maybe if it, like, had to happen or, yeah, okay. The more I try to, like, make this make sense, it doesn't work. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the best way to like just try to stop it from overflowing everywhere, the idea is just that it's in his head.
Yeah.
It's just daydreaming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not talking to his dead wife. His wife is dead. Like,
Yeah.
he's just talking to her version in his head.
Yeah, and that seems consistent with his powers because they're not mystical, they're science-based, you know? Like, there shouldn't be the ability to bring back somebody's, you know, personhood, basically, because that is based on their, like, experiences and feelings while they're there. You know, yeah.
And that would also make sense because at some point near the end, the Unity team is like, we've got him like trapped in his own mind, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was
Too
around,
reflective.
and that was around the time where his wife was like, "Hey, we've moved on. Like, your daughter knew another man as her father." That kind of stuff.
again, that was supposed to be digital recording. So is it like, do they just
Yeah.
have recordings of his wife and daughter?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Especially if it was a secret Soviet space program. I wouldn't
He's
even
just
know.
some dude who disappeared during the Soviet Union. These are some just random people.
Yeah, definitely like it would be so hard to do that. Like even if at the simplest they were able to like basically take like find a photograph, or maybe it would be like maybe they find a family photo album and then they can digitally reconstruct on a person a 3D model of them and then have voice actors. Like all of that would take so long.
I mean, they're superheroes, secret agent British people. They just use AI, right? Like they got technology.
Like, I mean, the thing is that could be like a whole nother issue of comics where they have to go on the mission to find evidence on Divinity's life before.
That'd be crazy. Divinity wasn't a threat, but they still, kind of had to go out and track down this stuff, piecing it together. And that's the thing, like even if they found a picture of them and then used AI or something to try to fill in the blanks of like how would people who look like this talk? I don't know.
Yeah.
And that'd be so interesting to have Divinity be like trying to reconcile that with his image of them and have it trying to adapt to his memories of them as he expresses himself. But you would never say something like that. Oh, did I say that? Kind of thing.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. Yeah. I wish that, basically, I guess my biggest wish for this book is that if it just kind of slowed things down a little bit. I know that maybe seems counterintuitive to you guys, but like I think that there's a lot of concepts and probably some of them just need to be put on the cutting room floor, just axe it out completely. But then others, expand them a little bit and give them more time.
No, I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just probably a matter of what gets cut versus what gets time. Probably where we disagree. But I mean, yeah, this book is just it's like you said, it's all over the place because it feels like it's two books thrown together.
Wait, 2 books as in 2 volumes, or like 2 different? Or what you were talking about? 2 different.
I was talking about basically when I said that like the first 2 issues that are like more exposition and focus more on Divinity, and then the next 2 issues that focus a little bit more on the team Unity. It feels like one sci-fi superhero story and then one like team book kind of.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. In a little bit different tonally. Yeah.
Also, like just a side note, the little like caption that they had at the front that said "Best Superhero of 2015," like as I was reading the book, I remembered it as Best Superhero Origin of 2015, and I was just like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to look at what comic books came out in 2015, but I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I feel like Invincible was selling really well at that time.
Possible.
And like, of course, the Amazing Spider-Man always has the world's greatest hero above his title. So
Gotcha.
a lot of competition for that spot.
The only difference is that's
It's the best new superhero of 2015.
also that's a quote from
Sorry about
somebody.
that.
Right? Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Officially decreed.
Yeah, and if I remember right, that the news source was like not necessarily like super.
It's the Onion / the AV Club.
Yeah. Which like
Huh.
Are they connected? Is the Onion and the AV Club like the same people? Because I'm like, or did they both say that?
I don't know.
Because that's saying two very different things. If if the Onion said it, then it's like all sarcasm. Yeah, really, like, I mean, I'm surprised that they didn't just put the AV Club. Like, the Onion, like, puts doubt on it. It's like,
And, like even with that qualifier of like best new, I'm still not sure that's true.
No, I don't think so either. Wait, hold on. The AV Club was created in 1993 as a supplement to its satirical parent publication, The Onion.
Oh.
But is it treated seriously?
Yeah, I mean, my understanding of the AV Club is it's serious. I haven't necessarily read a lot of articles from them, but I assume, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of the AV Club, but also that probably just means I wasn't paying attention. It probably showed up there.
Any more stuff I don't like about this book? I can't think of anything really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I've pretty much, yeah, just there's nothing that, like, what I've said basically, just that more could have been done with it. But like the ideas were interesting, but it didn't follow through all the way. It felt like it was setting up so much stuff for later, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like offensively bad, for sure.
Yeah.
It's just like mishmash of things that felt unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very middle of the road, like 5 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that.
Say 6, just to be nice.
I don't know. I'd say it's a 6 or 7 if I knew more about like 80% of the characters that are in this book.
Yeah, I could give it a 7, just because, like,
That's generous. Okay, that's
yeah, I know. I think that, like, basically, if it got its wheels rolling a little bit more, I think that it has much more potential to be good.
And I'm between a 5 and a 6. We'll go middle of the road, 5.5. I mean, 5.5. There you go.
what you think came more in the middle of 5 and 6 than 5.5.
No, I thought I misspoke. I said the wrong number.
We didn't talk about the art that much, did we?
Yeah, and I'd still like to. I mean,
Fine.
Fine.
I don't know. I have some of the design, like, I have problems with, but that's not real. Well, kind of a function of the art, but it's more. I don't like the Divinity's like weird cosmonaut suit. It's too busy. Like it doesn't look like any part of it serves a function. It looks like it was designed to look cool.
Oh yeah, it definitely looks like, I don't know, like Buck Rogers or something, you know, like
Space program, like, okay, we need to make it something that's a space suit for this drama, and then also needs to be Soviet Union style. So put a big red star on it.
It's got to be big red.
Well, to be
So
fair,
yeah, I just like that's the problem I have. Is like it looks dumb.
To be fair, Jake, like the suit was made to be used in conjunction with going on, into a spaceship. So it's taken away from its function. So now it is functionless.
It
Okay,
doesn't
but if you-
look like it functions for that, though.
If you look at real life spacesuits, they look like they serve a purpose.
Okay.
Nothing on Divinity's suit looks like it serves a purpose. Like he's just got like big straps going around, like big like red spots. Like what
Hey,
do
they
those
were really
do?
into fashion in the 1960s, okay?
Not in Soviet Russia, they weren't.
This will be our most fashionable mission yet.
And it'll be secret.
We are trying to beat the Americans in every way.
Okay,
God.
also, real quick, this is actually not about the art, but I just remembered the character that was like the old guy that knew Divinity before he was Divinity. And
Oh, yeah,
then-
one of the secret scientists.
yeah, and then like
Comes up again.
yeah, and then he gets like de-aged. He gets to be young, and then he like
He aged and superpowers.
yeah, and superpowers. And then he just goes to like the team Unity. And I'm like, wait, has he no, he's in handcuffs actually. So yeah, but like does he have history with that team? Is he like an already existing character? Or is this his first introduction?
I'm pretty sure he was just a scientist guy that Divinity was using as a way of talking to them, sort of.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, yeah, here's my deal.
He just it's one of those things that like, you know, basically like there's so much setup in this book that it's like, is this setup or is this inclusion of a previous thing? So I was just a little confused about that. But anyway, back to the art. Yeah, this art style, it didn't bother me while I was reading it, but it is like a little bit like, I don't know how to explain it really, but like people's faces, and I feel like it's not the penciler. I think it is the inker, in the way that he inks. Well, okay, actually,
The penciler.
because I feel like it's really tightly penciled, actually. So maybe it is the pencils. And I guess I could probably go back to like the art processing pages to really see. I didn't really pay attention to those. I just like read the story. But yeah, that's kind of like basically just their faces sometimes. Like, I don't know.
Their faces get really big and like overtake the rest of the head. And like the eyes like get so far apart. little
That's something
weird.
I noticed. The eyes are very far apart.
Just give him anime eyes. Fixes everything, fills up the entire space.
Oh yeah, definitely super tightly penciled. I just looked at the art process. Yeah, they're basically just shading everything with pencil already. Like, I never really understood that personally. Like, I mean, I do understand like literally why, but I'm like, I don't know, if you're gonna have two separate people, like, why not like save some of the work, I guess?
Probably be cheaper if you hire someone who's just going to do exactly what you did rather than someone who has to make the decision.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yeah. I don't know if I had
Yeah.
much other thoughts though about it.
It's mostly just the style. Like the coloring's very generic for the most part. Works for what it is. And the inking, they use a lot of spot blacks and then they use hatching and then just a little bit of a visual overload at times.
Mhm.
It's not too bad. But yeah, I'm just not a big fan of the actual style. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's workable. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's a style thing that it's not really doing anything interesting either.
I mean, I like the art, but I really like issue 3, the cover art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the cover art's
The cover
strong.
art was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely good cover art.
Also, I can't help but see Ninjak as Keanu Reeves for issue 3.
From that single image.
Yeah,
yes.
a little bit.
Yeah, it's there.
I mean, also kind of weird considering like he's maskless on the cover, but we literally never see him maskless in this book.
Also, his hair is so much longer there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I thought it was the other guy, the guy with the axe. Which also,
Oh,
okay,
Eternal Warrior. Oh, what a dumb
it's
name.
so funny to like see them like list off the characters' names and then what they're supposed to do for this mission, and the fact that they chose Eternal Warrior to engage target with dialogue. The guy who's just like, and the guy
Yeah.
who has the axe to swing around.
It does feel a little bit like choosing Wolverine for that kind of mission.
No, just talk him down, Wolverine.
Yeah. Okay, was there any other opinions about the art? Because I kind of had like a side question, I guess. Basically,
And those faces.
yeah, I was just so and Jake, maybe you'll be able to back me up on this because I definitely didn't have time to look it up, but I'm pretty sure that the Valiant universe was originally created by Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief of Marvel in the 1980s, most known for the original Secret Wars event, which was created to sell toys, but
Like most things.
You always introduce that Secret Wars as done to sell toys.
oh, do I? I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was still like, to be fair, it was a well-liked story, and with good art from Mike Zeck, that was his name. But where I was going with it was that Jim Shooter created this universe, and I'm sure that he probably didn't have very much creative development in this story since it was 2015. But I'm just curious, like basically the thing with Marvel in the 1980s is, and him as editor-in-chief, was that he specifically created things to be like very interconnected rather than like disparate. And I'm wondering if we like kind of see elements of that even now in this book, in this universe.
Yes, you are correct that Jim Shooter was a founder. However, about a decade and a half after the founding, was the first time Valiant went bankrupt and was purchased by Acclaim, and then who went bankrupt again, and then was picked up by some other company, and now Valiant is owned by DMG Entertainment.
Oh.
So I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Jim Shooter did not have any creative input on this book.
Well, no, even a creative fingerprint potentially, but fair enough.
Executive, what?
No, I don't.
Decision maker?
I seriously doubt he has anything like that's a Stan Lee thing to be. You know?
Maybe in the sense of like he was there when they first like produced like Ninjak or X-O Manowar. So maybe there are some like creative things still left over from that, but that would be the only creative DNA left over.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I was just like curious about that, and I wasn't. Yeah, I was just thinking about it. Basically, I was like, Jim Shooter had a very specific way of doing things, and so I was curious if that held over in some way. But cool. So, anybody interested in reading more potentially?
I'll say almost.
Okay. I mean, I feel like, because like generally, there's like three answers to this question if we really think about it. Absolutely not. I'd think about it. And yes, I'm definitely going to.
I wouldn't read it for myself, but I also wouldn't be opposed to reading more Valiant. Hopefully something that tells me what the deal with some of these characters are.
Gotcha.
Rather not. I'm like Jake's opinion, or like if you put it on the show, yeah, I'll read it, of course. In what scenario are we allowed to be like, no, I refuse?
I almost did it this week with like the first two issues of this. Before I got to the end of the second, I was like, oh man, this sucks. I don't get it. I don't like reading it.
Yeah.
It's such an easy read though, where it's like you're just giving me information and you're just like, okay.
Yeah, that was the only thing that saved it. It's like it's only like 120 pages of like real story. I was like,
it's
okay.
100 pages of real story.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It's like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna suffer through this book that sucks to get through it because it's for the show. If it was like 160 even of like real story, I probably would have tapped out.
Well, see, I was considering that it was 120 whatever pages.
You're gonna make us read more of it, so you're gonna choose.
I was considering reading volume 1 and 2.
They really did continue it.
Oh yeah, there's I saw there's like a like basically omnibus size. There's a lot of it. So something happens with it. Somebody was
I don't know.
interested.
Like, there's a reason Dr. Manhattan never got like an ongoing series. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, he did get put back into the DC universe with a lot of events and stuff, but that's more of a money-making scheme, I feel like, than a interesting
Yeah, like
story.
there's not more stories to tell about Dr. Manhattan.
What do you mean? He created the DC universe.
No, shut up. No,
Yes,
stop.
he
Don't ask
did.
questions. Ignore what Cody said.
And now
it's not real.
Now he
It
has a
didn't
son.
happen.
He has a
DC
son
can't
now.
pay me enough money to tell people that that's what happened. All right, it didn't happen.
Guy with a clinic.
Is it Manhattan Jr.? Little Apple?
I have no idea, and I'm just joking. I mean, I'm not joking because that's real things, but I'm just messing with Jake. Anyway, though.
Yeah. Okay, my opinion is like Jake's, where it's like, if you told me to read it, I'd read it. But I'm less of like, I think, what did you say, Jake, where you were like, I don't remember, your second part of your thing. You're like, if you told me to read it, I would, and I wouldn't be opposed to it or something, but I would be opposed to it.
Like if somebody like outside of the show was like, I know people who are into comics, and they're like, oh man, this is like this Ninjak story is really good, especially for the time it was out. I'll be like, okay, maybe I'll check it out. Or X-O Manowar has a old crossover with Iron Man from like the 70s. Maybe I'll check that out. That'd be fine, maybe.
Wait, is that a thing?
No.
Yeah.
Wait, is it really?
Yeah, that's a thing.
From the
Wow.
70s?
Huh.
Yeah, something like that.
I feel like you're because
I'll look it up.
Valiant?
anyway, while you're looking that up, I'm going to say that I'd consider reading a little bit more. I don't know, like and basically I think the reason that I'm a little bit more interested in this, I guess, is because I had always assumed that Valiant, like kind of like Jake had said earlier, was like just C tier, like not worth any attention ever. And then I was like, oh,
Wow.
I don't know. Sometimes there's like certain comic opinions that like accidentally get incepted into my brain, and then I'm like, I just don't give things a chance. And then I'm like, oh, this was actually good for a reason.
Ultimate Spider-Man.
No,
Yes,
Well,
yes.
still mostly bad.
Ultimate Spider-Man in terms of the art, I was mistaking on the cover art being the inside art way back when.
Also, okay, I was incorrect. It was a comic and a video game for the PlayStation 1 in 1996.
There we go.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
So
So
in the 70s.
Wait, the Iron Man X-O Manowar was the...
Video game and comic, yes.
Can't believe video game.
yeah.
Yeah, that
one's hard
surprised
to
me.
believe.
I need to see a 1996 Iron Man video game.
It was, Valiant was bought by Acclaim, the old video game company, so it kind of makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Wait, Acclaim was the video game company?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know that
Okay.
either. I just assumed it was another comic company when
Yeah.
you said it originally.
No, video games.
Were
I guess
they involved,
grander entertainment, but,
Right.
Were they involved in like a Spider-Man game?
I don't believe so. I'm not an Acclaim historian, guys. Come on.
Okay. Anyway, I think that's everything. Thanks everybody for listening to the show. I'm Cody.
I'm Talon.
I'm Jacob.
I'm Shawenta.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening. And if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe, as it helps us out in the YouTube algorithms and helping us being seen by more and more people. And be sure to hit the bell notification so that you won't miss a single video. And if you're listening to us on podcast format, be sure to rate and review our podcast, as that also helps us out in the algorithms and being seen by more and more people. Thank you, and have a blessed day.